Welcome to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Tara.
Greetings, citizens.
Hey, Tara, why do you do
Hey.
this podcast?
What?
Why do you do this podcast?
So that I can watch obscure science fiction movies that I've never heard of before.
I was hoping you were going to say because God told me to, but I mean, clearly that was too broad a
Every single
joke.
time you set up a joke, I never get it.
So the movie we're talking about today is called God Told Me To. I thought it was so obvious what I was trying to get her to do there, and clearly it just crashed and burned. Why would I ask you that? Why would I ask you that? Otherwise.
I don't know. Maybe we should consult before we start.
Peter,
You should know by now.
Peter, I need you to lay out every joke you're going to bring up. And this is the thing. I didn't think about that before I started. It's literally, as I was saying hello, I thought, hey, I'll say this. This will be funny. This will be funny. Tara will get this and it'll be hilarious.
Great. Yeah. Finally. Finally, we'll be in sync.
Nope. So we're a science fiction movie podcast. Every week we get together, we talk about sci-fi movies, and it just so happens, now I don't know when these are going to go out, these extra episodes we're recording right now, because Criterion are doing a sci-fi 70s month, and we thought we were going to try and watch and record as many episodes based on these sci-fi 70s picks.
Yeah, because they're on a time limit. Once we get to January 1st, they're gone. So.
I assume you mean February 1st.
No, January 31st.
Oh, you said 31st. I thought you said 1st.
No, January 31st, yeah.
If it was January 1st, I'd be like, we've got a whole year then. Why are we rushing? But yeah, so Criterion have got a sci-fi 70s month, and I don't know what we're doing with these episodes yet. I don't know if they're here for a rainy day. Honestly, if we get enough of them, we might do a fun theme month with some extra episodes where you get all these 70s sci-fi movies. I mean, because we kind of want to do extras for April anyway. Maybe our anniversary month will just become 70s. They'll have a theme,
Sure.
Because the one thing we want to do in April is Alien for Alien Day, and that is a 70s sci-fi movie. It would fit.
79.
Yeah, there you go. Just squeaks in there. What was 79 like, Tara?
I'll ask my father for you.
I think an age joke's okay when I'm clearly exaggerating and you weren't actually born that year. I don't think you feel bad about that.
No, I was not around in 79.
Yes. Nor was I, for the record. just putting that out there. I realised that the hairline makes it harder to tell my age, and you think, oh, he looks like he's in his 40s. I'm not, okay? But hey, so we're here today to talk about God Told Me To, and this was kind of what started off us doing these extras, is that we didn't plan to do a recording of this, we didn't plan to do a review of this. Tara just happened to mention that she watched God Told Me To yesterday, and my eyes lit up because, I'll say it right now, I love God Told Me To. God Told Me To is a great...
You have the Blu-ray, right?
Where is it? Hold on.
Because I said I watched this because it's on the Criterion app, and you said, I have the Blu-ray.
I do. I have the Blue Underground Blu-ray release from about 10 years ago. Glorious. I mean, I assume the Criterion is the HD transfer as well, so it probably just looks as good.
Look great.
But yes, and the reason why I'm pointing that out is because the first time I saw this, it was in a shitty standard definition 4:3 crappy looking thing. It looked like horrendous. So when I saw the Blu-ray for the first time, it was like, I can't believe they put the effort into this movie. How much effort did this take? So this movie's directed by Larry Cohen, who's like a low budget sort of 70s 80s kind of guy. He also did a movie called Q the Winged Serpent that I liked, which we'll do at some point. It's about it's basically like a dragon thing that's flying around, but it's New York City, and it's like killing people off the top of buildings.
Is it like Rain of Fire?
No, I've not seen Rain of Fire, admittedly, so I don't know. But
Are those sci-fi?
well, this one's more sci-fi because I guess it's arguably more. I mean, it's a monster movie, right? The monster just happens to be slightly fantasy aligned, but you know what?
So we're doing dragon movies.
As long as it's just a dragon movie and it's not a movie with like sorcerers and wizards and elves and shit.
Okay. Are we gonna do Dragonheart?
I've not seen it. I don't know if that counts.
Okay.
I'm sure
Sean Connery plays a dragon.
I'm sure you could talk me into it. If only just because you want me to do Sean Connery lines.
You're gonna quote the whole thing. It's gonna be great. I am the last one.
My favorite Sean Connery quote is from Highlander, where he shows up and says, "My name is Ramirez, and I'm a Spaniard." In that voice.
Great.
So yes, God Told Me To is a crazy movie that I saw via it was like an internet show. It wasn't Mystery Science Theater, but it had it didn't have the commentary and like that, but it had people talking in between parts of it. Like it came back to a little studio, and they talked about it every so often. And I thought it was this amazing little weird movie. So obviously we're going to start spoiler free. How much we can talk in spoiler free is honestly not that much, but we're starting spoiler free, and we'll give you a warning before we get to spoilers. Because once we get to spoilers, we're going to have so much to talk about. So basically, I'll just say how it starts. It starts with basically there's a sniper on a roof in New York, and he's picking people off, and it's kind of weird how this is before mass shootings became like a thing we talk about on a regular basis, but that's essentially what it is. It's someone perched up a water tower on top of a building, sniping people, and this cop named Peter. The fact that the character in this is named Peter amuses me to no end, just because later on in the movie they have the sentences about Peter that just sound so ridiculous hearing my name mentioned, and but so basically, this guy kills himself, the sniper. But before he does so, he says, the cop asks him, why are you doing this? And he says, God told me to. And then he kills himself. And that kind of sets up this mystery. This is a series of events of people doing bad things. And the only thing they have in common is they say God told them to. So here's the thing. I remember watching the first scene of this and thinking, oh, this is a good little thriller. This is quite tense. I like how this is shot. These people being shot in the street. Larry Cohen is notorious, and you can see it in this movie. Whenever there's crowd shots in the street, he was a bit of a guerrilla filmmaker where he would go out, quickly get his scenes, and a lot of people in the background aren't extras. They're walking around, and occasionally if you're looking for it, you can see people looking over and saying, hey, there's a camera over there. You can, if you're watching closely.
No, so he was having people shot in the street, or pretending to be shot in the street without permits. I wonder if anyone was like, oh my god, someone just got shot.
I think,
I mean, the squibs don't look great, but
I think, well, first of all, they did it probably without sound. There would have been no gunshots, so that would have,
okay.
People wouldn't have felt as weird about it, I don't think, because
also the acting for the most part is fine, but all the scenes of people getting shot are terrible.
Yeah, they're pretty rough. That's a charm to it, though. But see, when I'm watching this opening, saying, oh, this is a good thriller about these violent things happening, the cops try to figure it out. It's not that straight, because obviously if it was just that, it wouldn't be a sci-fi movie. We wouldn't be talking about it on this show. Now, admittedly, it's only borderline sci-fi, and it's only borderline horror. In fact, funnily enough, me and Tim, once upon a time, in the early days of Screams After Midnight, actually talked about this movie, but all those old episodes from that first year are terrible, and we're going to redo them anyway. So when Tara said she watched this, I'm like, yeah, this is equally sci-fi. If anything, it's more sci-fi than it is horror, because there is a alien element, I'll just say.
There's an extraterrestrial element, yes.
But what I'll say about this movie, and this is what I said when I was talking to you yesterday about it, just briefly, is that this movie has so many sharp left turns where the plot goes somewhere you never saw coming. And what's great about it is that there's a lot of movies that are written poorly that'll do that, where they'll add in these extra things, but it'll just kind of do it for a scene and go back to whatever it was or whatever. This movie, whenever it takes a left turn, it commits 100% to the new direction every time.
Yep, it's this is what this movie is now.
It never holds back. It goes for it, and I respect that. Definitely. So much. It's such an exciting movie to watch because it's so.
It is bizarre. The definition of the word bizarre.
It's batshit insane, and I think it's actually quite well directed. I think Larry Cohen's a pretty good director for this type of movie.
I have some complaints.
Okay.
But I will say, it's never not
that's style,
interesting.
is what I'm saying. He's never just shooting it in a boring way for the sake of getting it done. He's always.
No. And there's a lot of especially in the beginning, you notice that there's a lot of really quick short scenes that just kind of keep the momentum going, but it's not like too short. They're just like, okay, we're here, now we're here, now we're here, now we're here. Like, where's this going? And, you know, the opening scene is pretty intriguing, you know, so you are invested right away.
This is the third time I've watched this, and it does benefit from multiple views because it goes through so many ideas so quick that you're taking them in, and it's like...
I'm giggling because of what we're going to talk about.
I know, that's so good. So God told me to wrap up the spoiler-free section, because this is it. This is the spoiler, because we're going to work through it, and we're going to have to talk about it.
Well, there's the plot section, because you have to ask me if I liked it.
Oh, sure, yes. Tara, I feel like I know the answer to this. At least I hope I know the answer to this. I don't want to be disappointed here. This will mean a lot to me if you say the right thing. Tara, how do you feel about God Told Me To?
It is wacko and definitely worth a watch.
Oh, I love it. So God Told Me To. We're going to go to spoilers. I know we're doing it early because honestly there's almost nothing we can talk about unless we go into spoilers.
All right, let's take this scene by scene.
Yes. But before we start spoilers, I'll take this moment to thank our Patreon producers. Now, admittedly, these are typically for the month we're recording in, but this might go out a bit later, so these might be slightly out of date. But at least at the time of recording, our Patreon producers, I will thank David Shaw, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Palacios, and Tyler Hess. That means they're patrons at the $20 tier or up. Of course, you don't have to be that high a tier on Patreon. Tara, why don't you tell them about patreon.com/MileFuzzTV?
Sure. Check out that page if you like what we do and you want to support the channel and get more content coming. You can go to patreon.com/MileFuzzTV and donate as low as $1 per month, and you'll get bonus episodes of the Ace, including the Transfer Saga. You get Time Cop, Judge Dredd,
with a new one every month.
Plenty of kitty cat distractions.
Yes.
Yeah, so go check it out. Might be something worth your $1.
That was a roller coaster ride, because I was so proud of you because I said the address first, and I thought the last time I did this, she just said it anyway, and it sounded really weird. But you actually started off saying, "Yeah, go to that page and you'll get this." But for some reason, you panicked after about 3 sentences and said, "Yeah, so go to patreon.com/MileFuzzTV." You said it anyway.
I was just reiterating. It wasn't a panic.
Okay, all right.
I just thought, I'm going to say it again because I think the people like it when I say it.
Yes.
The people what they want.
So it's you're a fan favorite, yeah. You saying the Patreon's a favorite of the crowd, yes. So yes, let's start then. So
hey, we got to 7,000 subscribers after I joined.
Well, and 6,000 was after you joined too.
Oh, check it out.
Yeah.
Less than a year and I'm already 1,000 subscribers. Those are all my friends, by the way.
You don't have any friends.
I know. That's why I'm here.
Oh dear. All right, so the movie begins with the sniper attack, and the shots of people getting shot in the street, and then the cop climbs up the water tower and he's going up to talk to her. He's like, "Hey, I'm not coming up to arrest you. I'm just up to find out why you're doing this and who you are." I thought the acting from the shooter. Now, admittedly, it makes more sense later on when we realise that the different types of people that are being kind of like, forced to do these things.
I thought it was a bit weird at first.
Yeah, at first he feels like he's so miscast, and he's really soft spoken. He doesn't I don't know. It's like really weird, but it actually makes more sense once the plot gets going.
He's kind of like gleeful.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Throughout the movie, whenever anyone's like asked or talked to about like God telling them to do this, they're always really happy about doing it for him. Like, it's not like they're because later on we talked to a guy who murdered his wife and children, and he's like really happy about it because God told him to do it, and he fulfilled that request.
I mean, let's be honest. There are a couple of really standout actors in this movie, but for the most part, we're not dealing with like A-listers here.
Oh, sure. Are you referring to the guy from Werewolf as a standout?
My Yana Glachi is here. I love him.
Was that any surprise? Did you see his name earlier?
Yes. No, I just saw his face like later on and went, I know that face.
This is like 16 years before Werewolf as well. Did he ever look young? Because he looks the same age.
It's hard to well, he's lit very strangely in this movie, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah,
but
they claimed he was 24, but bullshit. He was not 24.
He kind of always looks like he's had plastic surgery, huh? He's got like that Gary Shandling effect.
Yeah, I call bullshit. But anyway, so the guy kills himself, and they're trying to investigate this, and they're asking witnesses down the street, like, what happened. especially after the next incident. So some of the events here, like I don't know the exact order of these because they kind of all happen around very quickly at the same time, but they're questioning people early on, and they're asking for witnesses to both this crime and then the second one, and basically they're saying,
you see the mother of the guy who did the crime a couple of times,
and they're asking, they're asking, it's almost like just a montage of all these interview pieces, and they're describing, like, did you see anyone else with the suspect? And they're like, oh yeah, there was this guy here, but I couldn't quite, like, I saw him, he had long hair, but for whatever reason I can't remember his face. And then it cuts to someone else like, yeah, I thought it was weird that he was wearing sandals. And I'm like, are they describing Jesus? Are they describing Jesus?
Barefoot, like it was. I don't trust a guy who. It was the mother.
Was it barefoot?
Said, like,
okay, well,
he was hanging out with a guy who was barefoot. Don't trust a guy who's barefoot in New York City.
Yeah, in Canada
and
that's normal.
Has long blonde hair.
Yeah, they're describing Jesus. Like, I'm like, they're describing Jesus.
Yeah. A Jesus-like figure.
Yeah, but none of them can remember his face. It's like his face has, like,
if they couldn't get a good look, or like something was interrupting with their vision at the time. It felt more like a supernatural force was just stopping them from seeing his face or remembering his face. The way they describe it is more like I don't know, like maybe I just can't remember, or it could be supernatural, or it could just be like, I don't know, a faulty memory if you're just interviewing one person. But because you interview multiple people, like, okay, there's a pattern.
Yeah, it's clear that they're not supposed to realize they've been duped. Like, it's just when they try to think about it, like, oh yeah, I don't really, like, I saw him, but for whatever reason his face just is escaping me. Very odd.
Yeah.
So this is all very interesting, of course, and it was also like they find, like, they get a name for this guy, something Philip, this potential Jesus figure. Yeah. And
like Bernard Phillips, something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, so I think maybe before that we have the whole St. Patrick's Day parade debacle.
With Andy Kaufman.
You're right. Andy Kaufman's in it. You're right. Yeah. So here's the thing. My favorite line in this movie, it might actually be just before this parade, because so that's mysterious, because we cut to this random guy in a payphone booth. And he's this businessman with a goatee, and he's on the phone talking to the police, and he's talking to our main guy, Peter, and he's like, hey, there's going to be another attack like the first two. It's going to be at the St. Patrick's Day parade, and it'll be a police officer. And I don't know which one, though. And it's like, wait, what?
Maybe he hasn't been chosen yet or something. Yeah.
Well, no, it's not so much that. I just from the idea that, wait, so there's people out there, there's like this weird businessman who knows what Jesus is going to make people do, or what God's going to make people do. Like, it's like, wait, what? What's it doing? But my favorite line, maybe in the movie, is when Peter tries to, like, get the mayor or whoever to, like, stop the parade. We can't do the parade. The mayor responds with, the Irish have been waiting all year for this day. We can't take it away from them.
Yeah, that was like a bizarre thing. I guess it was like St. Patrick's Day. It was also a police, like, marching day.
It has to be St. Patrick's Day. That's the only. I mean, even in that circumstance, it doesn't make that much sense. Like, would the Irish, like, descendants really be that upset if they had to cancel the parade due to a hefty safety
Irish
reason?
have been waiting all year for this. Never mind Christmas or
This is their one day.
This is just for them. It was a bizarre statement.
Not to mention, like, Americans' definition of what Irish and Scottish are when, like, it was generations ago, are absurd to me. You're not Irish anymore. Stop it.
Yeah, that's true.
You're American.
They're done. Only Irish on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
And they get to wear the t-shirts that say, "Kiss me, I'm Irish." But yeah, you're right. That was pretty funny. I laughed when I heard the line too.
Yeah, it cracked me up. So of course it happens at the parade. There is the interview where he goes to talk to the guy who was a cop, I think, who actually shot his wife and kids, and he describes that he just had this feeling that he should do it. He just had this notion that he should take the gun off the mantle or whatever and go to town. And he talks. He
describes it in a way that's very like like, yeah, whatever. I went downstairs and I made my coffee, and I decided that I should probably kill my wife. I did it, and then like I killed my son, and then my daughter, she went into the bathroom because that's the only house or the only room with a lock on it. And I told her, no, it's okay. We're all just playing a game. Like, you should come out and I'll teach you how to play. And she was laughing, and she came out, and I was laughing too when I shot her.
Yeah, that was
dark.
Yeah, that was a really well written dark speech. That was like that ending was perfect. And he's smiling the entire time as he says this. Like he's really gleeful, and like he's the best he's ever felt.
But it's because he also has the line of like, he does so much for us and asks for so little. I'm just so happy I could do something for him to please him, something like that. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, here's the Jesus stuff again.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly when it happens, so I'm just going to bring it up now. The businessman we saw before, we see him at like a table full of businessmen who have all been like working for this Jesus figure, and it's almost like this
happens later.
Yeah, but it's almost like this is the modern version of Disciples. Like it's the 12 like 1%ers sitting around a business table. But this is so weird.
Yeah, and they're like, one of us has betrayed him or something, and like, but
Oh, so good. So and there's like a scene where Peter goes to church, and we find out that he is quite religious, and he's looking up at like all the various things. So I guess what we didn't necessarily see coming is that he's going to end up being special as well. Like at the start of the movie, there's like no indication, I don't think, really, outside of like there's like one small bit of luck or something like that, but other than that, it's like there's no indication that he's going to be also like a chosen one. But the movie really goes there.
No, I mean his character has been, yeah, you're right, this is definitely like a left turn when it happens, but I think the movie has been saying that he's even though he's around a lot of like atheists, like atheism is on the rise in New York City, but he's always been very devout and very religious, and I think he's interpreting his like, no, I know it's real, as his special connection that he has. I think he just interprets it as a religious experience. That's how I kind of saw it, later on.
So they find the mother of this godlike character, and she tries to stab him and falls down the stairs and dies. And when they go to investigate, he ends up interviewing a guy who like ran into her, because they find out that it was a virgin birth. And I'm like, oh, they're really good. This is the first time I watched it, I'm like, they're really going for it. They're not holding anything back. They're really doing it.
There's no implication yet that this is a science fiction movie.
No. But even at this point, I'm like, they're really going all in the religious stuff. Like, they're really doing it, right? And he interviews this guy who talks to him about how he found her like naked, and we get a flashback. We get this flashback where she's running down the road. The younger version of her is naked. And
this flashback is so corny.
I know. And she goes in the car, and he like puts a jacket around her, and she's like saying, "Oh, hey, like they took me, they beamed me up, and they did things." And I'm like, wait a minute, there's aliens in this now? What?
Yeah, and she's like full bush naked.
Yeah,
when she shows up, and it's something so dumb about the dialogue in between the young guy who's driving the car and her, and like at first he's like, it wasn't like a sexual way, the way she approached it was like she was, had been through hell, like she needed my help. Yeah,
when she first starts, like he immediately just is like, oh, I'm going to the police station right now. So he doesn't do anything or say anything. He does say that when he's talking in present day, 1980 or 76. That's what 76. All right, fair enough. But when he's talking in present day, 76, he does say that he was worried that she might accuse him of something. And in fact, I think in the flashback as well, he even says, "Oh, don't you dare accuse me of anything. I just picked you up. Like I didn't do anything." He gets very defensive.
But he goes all like pervy.
Yeah, he puts his arm around her.
There's aliens. So like, do they have like, do they look like us? Do they have like he's talking about penis?
He's like,
penises.
Yeah. Do they have? Do they have?
Do anything? Do they like probe you or touch you? Like, why are you all pervy?
Yeah, and she runs out the car. and it, gets picked up afterwards. But like, yeah, we get this insane flashback that hints that there's aliens, and
I love the style of it because the flashback is done in like a black and white movie, which is so strange because we get another flashback later, but it's not in black and white.
Yeah, another flashback.
and it actually takes place before this flashback does.
Yeah, the other flashback later goes further. Although I think, to be fair, it wasn't black and white; it was sepia. Just to
sepia tone. You're right, but it reminds. I shouldn't have been shocked that we got like full bush in this. You know how like 70s movies just have like this feel to them. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because, the Hays Code was such an unfortunate thing. If people who don't know, like the Hays Code is where Hollywood was like banned from showing anything obscene. That's why you don't ever see like people in westerns who get shot. They always like clutch their chest instead of seeing like blood or anything. Or war movies didn't ever show anything like that. Or couples always had to sleep in separate beds even though they were married. It's kind of weird, but that was just part of like the Hays Code. They were just worried about showing anything that could be potentially obscene. But Hollywood must have just been this like coiled spring, just like really pent up from like the 30s. I think the Hays Code was from the 30s, sometime in the 30s to like 68. That when the 70s came around, it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, they go all in.
Movies like this with full bush.
Because it's worth mentioning, this is the first of 2 full bush in this movie. And technically 3 if you want to count something else. No bush, admittedly, technically, but definitely graphic. There's definitely a graphic. So this sends him on the investigation, and he's looking around, and he ends up again, the sequence of events, there's so much. I actually almost wish I actually took extensive notes for this one just so we could go through it definitely in order, but he gets picked up by like a driver, say, hey, my boss wants to see you, and at this point in the movie he's already at the point where he kind of believes all this is real, and he believes there's a Jesus type figure and that he's causing all this and making people do things.
Yeah.
And he goes to meet one of the disciples, not the main one we know, but just one of the head of the table basically, and he's there to tell him like, hey, he's kind of scared of you, doesn't want you around, there's something special about you. And basically the guy like dies in front of me, has like a heart attack. Basically the will of Jesus or God or whatever this Philip stood as kills him, and apparently and Peter suspects that the point of this meeting is that this godlike character wanted to show him his power and say, hey, I can kill someone right in front of you. This is like how strong I am.
He's not even around. He could just do it. He can just will it. Like, no matter where he is. And
over the course of the movie, like, we meet him. He's got like a girlfriend. He's got
he's going through a divorce.
Yeah, he's got a wife, but they're separated. Like he basically is with his girlfriend, and like she's like waiting for him to get a divorce. But when we see him with his wife / kind of ex-wife, ex in spirit, if that makes sense, she's like, hey, like, no, I want a divorce. You're the one that's holding this back because of your religious beliefs. So we don't get a lot of the girlfriend and the wife, but it does get brought up eventually though, when she gets worried that he's been missing for a while, and she goes to see the wife and they meet each other. The wife was pregnant 3 times, and every time the baby was stillborn, and she believed that he willed that to happen. Through the sheer force of will, he didn't want a baby. And between that, and he starts to research because he suspects that he is something special as well because of this encounter with the guy. He goes to the records of the orphanage that he grew up in because he doesn't know his parents. And he finds the record of, which by the way, the nun at the orphanage basically just said, yeah, I mean, the guy would be a full-grown man now, I'll show you it. It's against the rules, but whatever.
There's a lot of strange like characters like that where they're just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, who cares?
You seem like a stand-up dude. I mean, I guess he is like a cop, so maybe he's flashing the badge saying I'm doing a little detective work here.
Yeah, a little detecting, just a little bit. But he traces his mother, to an old folks home. She's kind of, she's old, she's in this house and does nurses and stuff. And
we get another bizarre character, the lady who's like the caretaker, who has like the worst bedside manner. She's like, you know how these people are, they just leave shit everywhere.
Yeah, she's like, don't judge us for the state of the rooms.
Soon, so whatever, yeah, take your time.
Well, actually, the final joke she says to him, actually at the end of that little bit, she says, you know what they say, there's only one cure for old age.
It's so strange.
So he meets his birth mother and starts, and doesn't say who he is, he just says he's a detective or whatever, and starts asking questions about when she was, abducted or whatever.
About that night after the World's Fair, yeah. Or the night of the World's Fair, or something like that. And
she tells a story about being abducted, but what's crazy about this flashback is we don't get a flashback of her walking on the beach when she says she was doing that. We just get the flashback of when the actual abduction happens, and we actually see a spaceship. We see a spaceship in the sky, and we see her kind of like floating in front and being like pulled up to it. And she's got clothes on at this point, but eventually she's got the clothes off and she's kind of floating naked. And
with just these like superimposed flashes of vagina.
Well, that's the thing. She's sort of like floating in this sort of dark space with a light, presumably on the ship. But like you say, there's like one or two just quick shots. It's maybe subliminal of just like a close up of what looks like a vagina. It's like is that a vagina? That looks like a vagina.
Yeah, it's like, one of those. Looks familiar.
And it makes sense that it's maybe a little off because it is fake, because later on when we see it where it's from, it is like a fake prosthetic thing, so it makes sense that your mind's going, I don't know, I mean it looked like it was maybe a vagina, but like
what else could it be?
yeah, I mean at the very least there's some sort of
vagina adjacent.
There's some sort of fleshy opening that I thought it was implying she was getting into a vagina, like because she's like floating and like she was like sort of like being pulled across. I was like, is she entering this thing? Is that what it is?
Yeah, she was talking about like feelings of euphoria, like she wasn't there to be harmed, but she was still nervous, and something like that. And I think it's not until like she leaves the ship or that she's no longer on the ship that she like feels like she's violated and like something's happened to her. But I think she's describing the experience on the ship as not being so bad.
Which makes sense given how all the people who have been doing the crimes have said that they feel good about it. None of them feel like traumatized by it. They all feel like they're doing the right thing for a good reason.
Yeah.
So that lines up, I guess. He's got that power to... So this is the thing. So there's two big left turns in this movie. One is that he might also be a superpowered Jesus, and the other is that, hey, they come from aliens. like because
who were Jesus and Moses, really?
Yeah, because even before we get to this point, there's like an expert at the newspaper that he's talking to. He's like, hey, you wrote all these articles about how Jesus and like all that were actually alien astronauts was the word he used. They're alien astronauts. And I was like, and obviously once you get to this, that was setting up this idea that that's all they are. They're just aliens who came here, and the one that was here we ended up writing a Bible about, and there's all this myth about it, and so on.
Right. I think it's a pretty popular show, and I want to say it's on the History Channel. It's called like Ancient Aliens or something, where they do have a bunch of bogus theories like that.
Hold on. Yes, it's called Ancient Aliens, and if anyone doesn't know what this is or has never seen it, I guarantee you know one person from it. You'll know the image or GIF of this, and the audio people just have to like... I do say something here, but basically you want this. Just imagine I've got big poofy hair that's sort of like sticking out. Aliens.
Right.
It's that guy. Yeah. Actually, the second gif of him, which I actually love a lot, is just him. He's doing this eyebrow thing where he says, "Is such a thing even possible?" Yes, it is. it's just I'm like, what are you basing this on?
I've never watched the show because I see the title and I think, all right, skip. But I have heard of it, and it's quite popular, I think. Like maybe the things that we maybe there were humans that were superhuman, but they weren't really humans. People from history could have been influenced by an extraterrestrial, or maybe were extraterrestrial, something like that. I don't know. So I guess that's what I wonder how like the Catholics feel about this movie.
I don't think
this movie is like not anti-religion at all.
No,
in fact, it's kind of making a case for it.
It's not anti-religion, but it very definitively slots it into a specific like this is what it is. Like, it's aliens. Aliens came here and they created Jesus.
Yeah.
And Jesus wants to mass murder people.
That's why he can walk on water, because he's actually an alien. And apparently he can pass his seed along.
No. Obviously, one of the things that comes up though is that, like, okay, if one of them is Jesus, is the other one the Antichrist? Like, rather than, you know, they're both a Jesus type thing. And there's kind of speculation you could have as to which ones, but obviously the one we meet, like, you know, it's not Peter, looks more like Jesus because he's got the glow and the white, and you can't see his face clearly for the first while because they're intentionally overexposing it, so it's kind of a blur. You know, like, they do all that stuff. It's also worth mentioning as well, the goatee businessman who phoned in the call tries to kill Peter by pushing him onto the subway, and basically afterwards he's like, I tried to make up for betraying him, he forgave me, and I tried to kill you and I couldn't. So
yeah, he's failed him twice now, so that's how Peter gets to meet the Jesus character, is that he tells him to take him there.
And when he goes back up in the elevator to leave Peter down there, you just hear him scream, because that's
Sticks his head up.
Yeah, he's dead, or to say it in a Scottish way, he's dead.
He's dead. He's dead, Captain.
He's pan breed, which is pan bread. But if you say breed,
another word for dead, or
yeah, if you say someone's pan breed, it means they're dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought I'd educate everyone with a little bit of Scottish slang.
It sounds Scottish, yeah.
Yeah. So, so he meets Jesus' figure, and he's like, "Oh, we were actually brothers, you and I. You were like the failure, which is why they created me, because your humanity took over, and you didn't even realize that you were special, and blah 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 blah." And he runs out. He's kind of scared by this. Of course, but not before.
He's sort of being pushed into, like, willed into the fire that's burning.
Yeah.
And I think that scares him.
And he fights back.
He leaves.
Is it this scene or the ending where we see it?
It's the end.
Is it the ending?
It's
okay.
the big payoff.
Okay, it's the money shot. So he runs off, and there's a sequence of him, because he runs in. This is when the meeting with the wife and the girlfriend are, and he runs in, and he does. First of all, it's a really awkward moment where he kisses his wife in front of his girlfriend, and I'm like the other way around, this would make at least some sense, because this is, you know, because she's the one you left for the girlfriend, but like the girlfriend's watching you make out with your wife. It's kind of weird, but he's basically, I'm so glad you two are with each other, guide each other. And he leaves. Is basically the scene.
Yeah.
So there's a scene in the middle of the movie that we have to mention, because there's a scene where there's a corrupt cop who works with the gangs in Harlem, and he's like, he didn't like stop them from being arrested enough, so the guy like just violently stabs him and tries to like frame it on these God killings and like writes God in blood, which Peter, when he sees the crime scene, immediately says, that's not the same thing, this is someone else, this is a copycat, because the killer never ran away, which is actually solid logic, because he's right, all the other killers all just stayed around and didn't care that they were arrested.
No, they were happy to do it, they wanted to be seen, or like kill themselves. But
it leads to this insane sequence where he goes to this bar where this gangster dude hangs out with all of his cronies, and it's like you know, it's 70s kind of blaxploitation kind of mood. Like when we go into this scene, it's very much these type of characters and stuff. And Peter comes in, and how do I describe this? Basically, they're like, only one cop to come and arrest us? Hey, that was a foolish move, because we're just going to kill you. And this guy who stabbed the cop earlier pulls out his knife and tries to stab him in the face multiple times, but all he does is his hand keeps going past his head over his shoulder, and no matter how many times he tries, he just can't hit him. And he goes, ugh.
He's right in front of him.
Yeah, he's like, ugh. And he just can't do it, and then he looks shocked. And my favorite part of this,
it's shot in a way that's a bit comical.
Yeah, my favorite part of this though, and there was a hint of this earlier when he was talking to the nun at the orphanage place, but it was really subtle, and he was only there if you could only really see it if you were looking for it. But it's like here at extreme is after he tries to get stabbed and it doesn't work. The shot of Peter, it's like it's went dark, but this one beam of light across his eyes, and it's to make him look kind of like sinister, a bit godly, and he basically.
Or I thought it was just kind of like a commanding thing, like.
Oh sure, yeah,
he's using his telekinesis to.
Well, that's what he does.
Tell him what to do.
He wills people in the bar to start killing each other, and they do, and then he makes the main guy kill himself, and it's like, I have power. Oh man, this movie's so good.
All the deaths in this movie are so like.
Funny.
Overacted. There's a lot of like spinning around for a while, or like just unnatural movements.
There's a lot of that.
Worth watching.
So he goes back to main Jesus, and he's like, hey, we could combine forces. We could like merge and mate and create the perfect offspring. And he lifts up.
I don't know if we talked about it, but the doctor of the virgin birth, the first one for this Phillips character.
Oh, sure, yeah.
When the baby was born, they didn't know if it was a male or a female. And you would think this would be like a big thing in medical science, but the doctor's just like, whatever, we're just going to call him a male.
Yeah. I'll just I'll go with my gut. Really weird.
Go about your day.
Indeterminate gender. So he lifts up his cloak when he's saying this, we can mate and to create the perfect offspring, to reveal on his stomach, not his crotch, on his stomach,
in the ribs where the Jesus was stabbed.
Yes. It's a very good point. Yes, where Jesus was stabbed, there is a vagina.
Yep, and it is ready.
It's pulsating. It's pulsating. Do you know what it's like? It reminds me of the effect that you get on like in an alien movie, like when it's showing you that the egg's about to open, and it's like getting ready to. Like it looks like it's pulsating and ready to.
Yep.
It wants that Antichrist cock.
There's some discharge.
This is a space stomach vagina. That is what we're talking about right now.
Oh my god. This has to be where Tommy Wiseau learned about female anatomy, right?
That makes sense, yeah, because in the sex scene he's humping her stomach. Either that or he's got a belly button fetish, and if so, I feel sorry for the women's belly button. But like, it all adds up.
Stomach vagina.
I want you to take me to space and make me better. I want to create a cosmic entity.
I know what to do. I saw a movie.
I want to make perfect offspring. I want to call it Denny after you, Denny. What if Tommy Wiseau is the offspring?
What?
He's got the long hair.
He's probably the right age.
All that money he has that no one can explain. The fact that he just paid like $6 million to make a movie and no one knows where his money came from. Like, it's all there.
He is Christ-like.
He is. Hell, he even made a movie about him sacrificing himself and dying because of others. He's a sacrificial figure.
Everyone betray me. I'm down with this world. It's too funny.
Oh dear. And hell, it's even implied, now I think about it, there's that ridiculous line in the room where the Lisa and her mother are having a conversation, and her mother says, well, I got the test results back, I definitely have breast cancer. And Lisa responds with, oh, I'm sure you'll be fine. And she goes, yeah, you're probably right. Maybe that scene was implying that Tommy Wiseau has healing powers because of his space vagina birth.
That's right. I mean, he doesn't really ever feel pain, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that explains why he laughs at the story that Mark tells him about the girl who cheated on her boyfriend and got put in the hospital.
So funny.
What a funny story, Mark. Oh dear.
What a story.
Do you know, The Disaster Artist wasn't a great movie because it was just kind of like living off the room, but the one thing I liked about it was just it showing that the people on set when the movie was being made were asking those questions like, why is he laughing? Why is he doing this?
You have to imagine people were just like, this is bad, right?
Yeah, but we're being paid, so I mean,
yeah,
hard to make a living.
Yeah. So The Room is the sequel to this, which is actually, makes sense.
Well, no. Tommy Wiseau, the real person, is the sequel to this. The Room was made by the offspring of the sequel of this movie.
It's canon.
Yes, he's so godlike that he came into the real world.
This is required watch for The Room.
It is, yes. We have decreed it so.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie's really bizarre.
So Peter's the father, Tommy Wiseau's the son, and Phillips with the space vagina is the Holy Spirit.
Yana Glachi, yeah.
Oh, this actor with the space vagina.
He sacrificed himself for Lisa's sins.
Exactly, yeah. Lisa, you're a whore who cheated on me. I will kill myself to make up for your sins, so you can go to heaven.
Lisa, so beautiful. I hump your dress and kill myself.
Oh dear. No, I don't think he ever actually calls her a whore in the movie. The reason why I'm saying that is because that movie, if you actually pay attention to the plot, is so goddamn sexist and makes her the villain for everything. Even at the ending, Mark, who was the other person in the cheating relationship, pushes her away, says, "This is all your fault."
Women. I'm sure Tommy Wiseau was just hurt once before.
Anyway, so Space Vagina, he does not accept this gracious offer of humping the space vagina.
He does seem tempted, though. There's a moment where he looks at it like, vagina, and it's free.
And it's free?
Oh, wait, it's attached to someone I might be related to.
Technically, yes. Technically, this may be your half brother, or sister, or do you know what I mean? We don't know. It's a weird alien Jesus person. Doesn't have a gender. Yeah. Jesus, I almost said Jesus there. Jesus.
Yeah, this movie is bonkers.
Oh dear, but it commits to everything it does. It really
does. Like you're right. Like so many movies would be like, it just goes everywhere. The plot will just go everywhere and kind of bounce back and forth from things and forget about it. Not this one. This one introduces something new and then says this is what that movie is now.
Yep.
And just keeps going. So I think for that reason, like it's still really engaging. And even though it takes you for a ride, it's like you want to know, there is a mystery there, and every time it introduces something new, you're just like, well, this is not what I expected, but let's see where this goes.
And it's worth mentioning that it's not just because of the sum of the parts that make it crazy. Like I genuinely think a lot of the scenes on their own are very entertaining as well. So it's not like it's not like you're suffering through bad scenes to get to the next bit of the weird mystery. Like it's actually fun to watch. It's entertaining and engaging scene to scene as well.
I do think, like you mentioned, that he's a pretty good director, but the scene right after the vagina scene where the building is coming down, like there are some questionable choices where the camera like sometimes is shaking, and so is the actor like trying to get through things, but sometimes the camera is perfectly still and it's just the actor who's just doing a little jig and boogie like down the stairs.
I wonder if that was more
really noticeable.
I wonder if that was just a camera operator and like there was nothing they could do about it, because by the time he saw the footage it was like, wait a minute, he wasn't shaking the camera, damn it. Yeah,
and it looks ridiculous. It looks like the old Star Treks, what it would look like if the camera was totally still. And they were all like shaking around because
you've seen the like the gif of someone stabilized a shot of that, right?
Yeah,
to show
what it looks like.
Yeah, to show them all just pretending while it's perfectly still.
And there's one where the camera was still for like the first half of the shot, and then it's like, oh yeah, we're supposed to be shaking.
Yeah, that feels like a weird flub as opposed, because I think creatively as a good director, I feel like there's a good energy to the movie, and it's a bit in your face with it's like, you know, this bit's shocking now, but like it has a style. It feels like it has a personality. Like it doesn't. Yeah. So I think it works. So the final. I
agree. I mean, we talked about Altered States pretty early, which is another one of those 70s like bizarre films. But Altered States, like, even though it also kind of commits, it gets like really, I don't know, it like that movie goes to a place where it's just like, okay, now it's ridiculous, and I'm not really enjoying it as much anymore, and it kind of muddies up the message and the plot. Where this one, like, I'm still really engaged, and even the goofy parts don't really take me out.
It's the perfect blend.
So maybe it is like just a good director.
Yeah, honestly, I think it is. I think the director just commits to everything it's doing, and doesn't hold back. And maybe yes, it can be seen as a super serious movie because of that, but it's not just it's not like I think there's a lot of movies where you sort of enjoy because they're bad, right? They're so good because they're bad, or they're so bad they're good, right? That phrase. Yeah, I don't think this falls into that. Like, sure, like the weird elements you could refer to them as bad, but it doesn't feel like the director's like stumbling into entertaining here. It feels like no, the entertaining parts are entertaining and they're supposed to be entertaining. Now, maybe he was taking some of this more seriously than we are and not seeing it as creative, but I have to imagine he was. Like, I mean, Larry Cohen might have just been on LSD at the time. I don't know. It's entirely possible.
The alien scenes, maybe.
But like, I don't know. Like, it doesn't. This isn't like you know, Invisible Maniac, which we both really enjoy, or you know, some even like Trancers 2. Like, it's not like. And those are both very different from each other as well, but it's not like either of those. It's kind of its own brand of like intentional weird stuff, and just kind of embracing the absurdity of it and just going for it because we can. You almost get the feeling like someone bet him to do like, hey, I bet you can do a movie where you reveal that God and Jesus were actually aliens, and there's like second comings like walking around. He's like, well, I'll take that bet and I'm going to go do it. I'd love to know. I've not actually. I don't know if there's many extras on this. Maybe there is, son. There's a commentary track from Larry Cohen. Interview with some of the actors.
Is he dead now? He died like recently?
He died like last year or the year before, yeah. Because I think me and Tim might have done a movie by him specifically because he passed away. Or at least we mentioned it in the news, I'm sure. I'm sure we talked about Larry Cohen.
Someone's been catching up on Curb.
So the final, so he burns the place down, effectively killing.
And he's going to shoot him. He's going to shoot the Jesus guy, but instead drops his gun, and then the building collapses and stuff. So he's got, you know,
he's
a weapon on the scene. Yeah.
So he gets caught. So the last scene of the movie is him being like carted into, you know, the courthouse or whatever, and he's handcuffed. And the press came up, and you know what the final line of the movie is going to be. You know what it's going to do, but you're just sort of sitting there smiling because like, oh god, say it. And the press like, hey, so why did you carry out these acts of? Why did you murder this person, this Mr. Phillips? Why did you murder him? And he just kind of smiles and goes, God told me to.
And then looks at the camera.
Yeah, he looks at the camera right at the very end, which I think is kind of implying that he might actually essentially be the new Antichrist, if that's even a thing in this this movie's mythology, given that they're from aliens and you know. But I mean, Satan was a fallen angel. If I know a little bit of theology,
I think so. I mean, he is in Paradise Lost, so I assume so. So I get confused because I read like the Old Testament, but in like school and stuff. But then I also read Paradise Lost at the same time in a literature class, and I often get the stories mixed up on which one came from where.
Yeah, I have never read a word of the Bible, and it shall stay that way. Thank you very much. Not my idea.
Thou shalt not steal thy neighbor's sandwich. Pretty close, I think.
Yes, that sounds about right. But yeah, God Told Me To is freaking amazing. That's how I'd put it.
I wasn't planning on watching it. I just kind of said, let me check this out, and went, whoa, I did not expect that ride.
It's a ride. It's a roller coaster ride of emotions, of concepts, of so many things.
Plot.
Of plot, yes. There's enough plot in here for like 4 movies. But unlike other movies, it doesn't feel the need to be cut down, if that makes sense. Like, that's part of its charm in this case.
Tight. It's like 90 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean? Like we all complained about the new Star Wars movie for having far too much plot, that it should have been spread out because it feels just rushed.
It definitely was 2 movies in one.
Yeah. Whereas this movie, I never find myself going, oh, they should have split this up and done like 3 movies so it all landed properly. No. I like how crazy fast this is.
Or like a mini-series.
Sure, yeah. That's what we'll do. Tommy Wiseau is going to remake this as a mini-series in a few years, just you watch.
Sure, it's his favorite film. He learned a lot.
We're going to do it. God tell me to. It's my favorite film. It's an inspiration to me. Yes.
That woman who played the mother of, like, his mother, of Peter's mother, she's an actress that is well known.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sylvia something. She's in like Beetlejuice and Mars Attacks. I actually watched her, funny enough, just like less than a week ago in a movie from the 30s she did with Humphrey Bogart called Dead End. But she was like the really young woman in that, like the young female lead in it. But I thought her acting in the movie was like phenomenal too. Like, she really got emotional, and like all of her lines, even though they were kind of bizarre, like nailed them. Yeah,
I can't believe Richard Lynch showed up in a movie, because this is the thing. This is the first time I've seen it since I saw Werewolf. So when I saw his face, even though you told me he was in it, I kind of forgot you said that to me, and I was like, "Oh yes, this dude from Werewolf." Even though I'd recognized him in that.
He showed up in another film that we've done.
Did he? What other film?
Yeah, it might have been a bonus movie. He seems very bonus movie material.
I know he's in Rob Zombie's Halloween, which is why I think I felt a ting of hate when he appeared for the first time in Werewolf. I don't know. He's got a lot of credits. It's going to take ages for me to look through all these.
He's got like 200-something films, right?
This is too much. Far too much. It's the type of. He was in Cyborg 3: The Creation. I didn't even know there was a Cyborg 3. I mean,
I don't know.
We'll do the Cyborg movies. The Jean-Claude Van Damme is the first one. I don't know if the sequels are very good. I guess they feel like they should be bonus episodes. Oh,
I know we watched him in something. Oh, he's got 164 movies. Ugh.
He's in 2 episodes of Next Gen, so he's in your Star Trek.
He's definitely got a Star Trek face. He's got an alien face. He's typecast.
Yeah. Oh, Puppet Master 3. I've seen Puppet Master 3.
Hey.
And Alligator,
right. Alligator
2. Oh, he's in Trancers 2. Of course.
Oh, yeah, Trancers 2. That's where we saw him.
Okay. And this is all post Space Vagina. Space Vagina was like so early in his career comparatively.
Yeah, it really was. Like, he started doing movies in like
the end of the 60s.
Yeah, end of the 60s.
So this is like
early 70s.
This is less than a decade into his career, and he's doing Space Vagina.
Yep. God told me to. Bernard Phillips.
I wonder if he knew what he was doing. Like, was he when they give him the role? Like they said, you're going to play this character in Bernard Phillips. Did he know, A, that he was going to be like Jesus, and B, that he was going to have a vagina, like sort of like a fake vagina?
I'm sure he was just super excited to be an actor. I mean, look at the movies he's done.
Yeah, he's in a lot of classic TV, actually. He's in like Starsky and Hutch episodes, Battlestar Galactica, Charlie's Angels,
Barnaby Jones.
Yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff. He's just one of those faces. One of those faces.
What a face.
Yeah.
TJ Hooker.
I can't say I've not seen a lot of these, to be fair.
Well, it's Shatner. Shatner's post Star Trek TV show.
That's why you know well. Yeah, I'll definitely be seeing him in Puppet Master again, because me and Tim will be doing that franchise once we've cleared up a few others that have been taking a long time to get through.
Werewolf. Oh, he's in a werewolf TV show.
See, when I was trying to, like, because obviously I log my movies that I watch on Letterboxd, but also in like my own personal stuff, because I'm a nerd and I've been doing that since 2007. See, Werewolf was such a pain trying to find that, because it's like such a generic title and there's so many movies called Werewolf that I had to like really try hard to like find what year it was and confirm it was the right movie and all the rest of it. It was a pain. Not that anyone cares about that. I mean,
well, maybe it's time to wrap up then.
You think it's time to wrap up? You think it's time to rate God Told Me To? I mean, I don't know. I mean, what are you going to rate it? How do you rate this? I feel like the rating of this should be like, I don't know, like a beam of light out of 10.
You think we can't use numbers?
Nah, we can use numbers. I'm just cracking some jokes. What are you giving it? I mean, how do you feel? How do you feel now, ultimately, about God Told Me To?
I mean, okay. It's very much a movie of it. It's very much a movie.
You were about to say it's very much a movie of its time, and then you thought about it and went, nah, not really.
Not really. I mean, it has that like 70s grime to it that I always enjoy. From the beginning scene, you think you're getting one movie and it just goes every which direction. Every 20 minutes you get a new twist. You're like, well, I guess it wasn't that movie at all. But I sort of really love the ride. So I think maybe, can I call it great?
I think you can.
It's definitely worth watching. You got to see it. It's so bizarre, and it's very. I think it's a must-watch. As far as science fiction movies goes, there's enough sci-fi in here, but it's more of like a religious film. I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Oh my.
I think it's a good movie.
It is a good movie. It's a great movie, in fact. I know what I rated it last time I saw it, and I'm going to concur with that rating. I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Wow. You do love this movie.
I do. It's great.
I mean, it's pretty close to what I'm rating it too. Like, I'm going to give it, 7.5. I think it's definitely worth watching, worth your time. And I think even the silly parts where like people are dying and it doesn't, but they're dying in like weird ways that's not natural, I think that's adds to the charm of it.
See, like I've seen it 3 times now, and like it holds up. Like this experience, this third time was no less than previous times.
I mean, it's definitely enjoyable.
I think it's good. And I think if there's any reason why we should do like Cue the Winged Serpent at some point, it's because hey, let's just do another Larry Cohen movie. Because, like, yeah.
I've never heard of him. Like, is A Winged Serpent like his most well-known film?
It was the one that I knew before I learned about this one. But he did a lot of B-movie direct-to-video stuff in the 80s and stuff. So he's kind of a cult director as opposed to someone that everyone knows. But we're movie nerds, so
I like that he ends with a Larry Cohen film.
Right, he's proud of it. He's proud of his work. Not only did he go batshit and crazy with this movie, he was confident. He was audacious.
He did Phone Booth. I've seen that movie. He did. Oh, he's an actor. He was an actor too.
Yeah, he didn't direct Phone Booth. That was Joel Schumacher.
He was a writer on Phone Booth, though. He wrote it.
Full Moon High.
He was an actor in Spies Like Us, which is a fantastic comedy. Director, don't really know these movies.
I've heard of It's Alive. I've never seen it though.
Oh, The Stuff. Didn't you guys watch that?
Oh, that's what we did actually when he passed away. That's right. That's why we talked about him. That's why. There you go.
Okay.
Interesting. He did a couple of blaxploitation films in the early 70s.
Yeah, I'm seeing that right now, actually.
Yeah, that maybe explains just how...
Black Caesar, Hell Up in Harlem.
Yeah, The Godfather of Harlem. Yeah, done a few of those. Very interesting. Very interesting. Special effects.
Maniac Cop. That sounds fun.
What, he did Maniac Cop?
It says he's a writer.
Oh, okay. I like Maniac Cop.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've got it on Blu-ray.
Oh, well, he's a writer.
I also own Maniac Cop 2 and 3.
Damn.
I know. Something about them releasing those cult movies in Blu-ray for a time, I was just hoovering them up. Yeah, it was like, yeah, give me them all. Give me all these weird, wacky movies. They're so fun to discover because they've got such a different style and tone to, today's movies that it's just fun to find them.
They tend to be movies that people were passionate about making.
Yes.
Making a movie for themselves, the movie they wanted to see.
So good or bad, it had a charm because of that.
Right. You don't really get a lot of those things. You don't get the passion project films.
Yeah, not as much anyway.
That aren't like, you have to please the producers too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, technically everything Christopher Nolan does is a passion project, but he's earned the cred to just make his $200 million passion project.
Yeah, there are exceptions to that for sure.
Yeah. So, no, that has been God Told Me To. And this is us wrapping up our episode. This has been the Atomic Cinema Experiment. You can let us know what you think of God Told Me To in the comments below if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. Go watch God Told Me To.
Watch it, yeah.
So you can like and subscribe. You can ding the bell on YouTube for notifications. You can get us on the Twitters at the Ace Podcast. You can email us at mftvquestions@gmail.com. That's mftvquestions@gmail.com. Send us questions and occasionally we may answer some. Or if you just have a question that's not for the show but just want to ask us something, you can do that too. Send us a thank you letter. Tell us how great we are. I mean, that's always nice.
Have people done that before?
We get, I mean, not an email, but
maybe comments, right?
We get tweets and get comments. Yeah. Hams.
That's nice.
So you could do that. We mentioned Patreon earlier. That's a good way to support the show, of course, financially. $1 or up, or $5 or up, whatever tier you fancy. You get bonuses, and you can also support us by sharing us out on social media and whatever else, and telling your friends to, hey, I listened to this mediocre sci-fi podcast. You should listen to it, and spread us around like a space vagina with chlamydia. What a note to end on. So that has been God Told Me To. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching science fiction, and computer add salsa.
Yum yum.